Hello everyone. Sorry that I had to do that last video a little fast. I do really want to start doing some what I call protocols, case studies, to help you see that when you have a situation in front of you where a person has multiple weaknesses, that you don't freak out, you just realize, just start connecting the dots to acidosis or inflammation, swelling, and what happens in that process where you lose calcium, you lose your joints, all these things like that. And so easy to determine when you see someone with a laundry list of problems. Almost always you can come down and connect the dots to lymphatic, and which is kidney and adrenals, and then the gigantic sewer system, and then it's just seeing the locations that lit up, of course, and then the glands that could be weak through genetics, you can pop those up, or from lymph suppression. So it becomes relatively simplistic. And especially once you get it, man, then it's real easy. So I want to keep doing these case studies for you. If you like that, let me know about that. I was reading this out of Frontier here, and it was interesting here. Pesticide exposure linked to smaller babies. And this is an article in Scientific American that appeared at first in the Environmental News, and it seems like anybody living within 3 miles of strawberry fields or wherever they're using this methyl bromide, that their babies are getting smaller, and it's already proved to cause mutation of babies in lab animals, and yet we use them. That's got to be part of Monsanto thinking and part of that industry, and I just find it, and we just had this discussion here with the girls a minute ago, just how some of this stuff that people can actually warrant using this when it's showing to cause so much problems in children, and the mutation of the cell. That's scary. And this study was done in New Mexico and down in the Latinas. I mean, they're getting us all, guys. They're getting us all. Sad stuff. All right. So I thought I would do this with question and answers here, trying to catch up with you guys. You guys are so good. You have so many questions. I find most of them right to point, excellent questions. So let's go on down and do this, because I only have about 45 minutes here, and I want to get as many of your questions answered. I thought this was a good one. This is from Victoria. So this is again part of the reason I'm passionate, and a part of the reason I'm doing this, and say whatever you want about it, but I'm really trying to help as many people and get you guys to help as many people as we can, like a wildfire spreading aggressively throughout the land. That's what we need to do right now. This is a 24-year-old, and since she was 20, she's been under the care of a psychiatrist for bipolar disorder. Now, let's stop and think about bipolar disorder. First of all, understand that your endocrine glands control literally everything. All the chemical processes of the body happen under the orifice, basically, of those, including enzymes. With that said, then it also has a reaching factor into the emotional side and the mental side of the individual soul that uses these bodies. And keep in mind, it isn't you that have this problem. It's your bodies that have this problem. Don't associate yourself with these problems. And the best thing you can do is don't consider the disease that you're afflicted with, because then that disempowers you to find wellness. And this is all about cells and the function of cells. There is no such thing as diseases. There is such a thing as cells not performing properly. There is such a thing as cells that are not producing the adequate hormones, steroids, neurotransmitters, and the like that we need for all the processes to happen. And of course, you have to understand that we come packing. You know, as soul, we already come packed emotionally and mentally from other past experiences in other places. This is just a simple touch-and-go rock spinning through space. That's all Earth is another rock spinning through space, just has the perfect balance of chemistry and magnetics to support life. And there could be billions of them like that throughout all the endless worlds of this level. And it's just a short experience that you have in a long journey. So we come packing with some emotional components already. And this is why we talk about the spiritual side, how you learn to get outside of the mind and outside of desire so you can get more to that true self that's not afflicted with anything, that doesn't have any weaknesses. And that's the you that we're referring to, the real you. Outside of that, you're dealing with your bodies that you're using, which is in duality, which all your bodies in some level or another are in the vortex of energy, time, and space, and matter when it comes into the physical world. Physical world is much more of a matter world or a chemical world than the astral or the causal or some of the more etheric bodies that you have simultaneously. And all these bodies are wrapped around you at once. Some psychics can see these bodies. Sometimes we use Kirlian photography to see the auric shields of some of these bodies, that sort of thing. Shouldn't be foreign to you because you use the mind, which is a separate component, which is connected to the human brain. And you know, when you're such a physical scientist that you can't grow outside of a physical experience, then your understanding of life is limited. And our scientific community has a very limited understanding of life. And so bad that they use methyl bromides and don't care. That sort of thinking. To that chemist, there's probably not a thing wrong with it. It doesn't matter if lab rats show mutation of the fetuses and stuff. So anyway, what I'm getting at here is, Victoria, you want to work on your endocrine glands, particularly the parathyroid and thyroid. That's depression. You want to build that up. And in your age, these glands are going to be down all over the place. The anxieties, the worry, that sort of thing, the shyness, the introvertness, all these things come out of the adrenal glands. Check your blood pressures, low adrenals. So you want to really work on the adrenals. Psychiatrists, they don't get it. They think these things exist in Never Land. And yet you have a physical connection to all your etheric bodies of the mind and of the emotions. And these are the glands. In Hinduism and Buddhism, they use the word chakras. Here we know them as the endocrine glands. And these are energy centers that radiate inward and outward, both. After these years, my situations start to become much critical. Because one of the known facts is antidepressants causes suicide tendencies. I mean, it's just there's nothing good about the treatment of mental health cases. And I hate to use the word mental health because it's really a wrong way to look at this. I gave up the pills. There are such manifestations of the body, hardly can someone imagine. The doctors I have been never spoke about the side effects of these drugs. And I latent became just as obedient patient without power of decision. I am in the period where I am searching new methods except the conventional one, which start to be a very cruel fight. Yeah, I feel sorry for this young lady. I tell you, at her age, is a young woman here up against a monster machine. I am happy I found your book. Oh, thanks, sweetheart. And I first trust in your words and trust in the herbs. I really don't know how to start detoxification. I would like to put new natural fundamental for my healthy. Dr. Robert, I would like to buy some herbals for my disease. Get rid of the word disease, sweetheart. This is a weakness in the endocrine gland system. If you're heavy fungal up, this even accentuates the problem. Generally, those people have weak adrenals or heavily fungal up. So this is detoxification is the process of cleaning out the body of acids and inflammation and things that impact the glands and cells. But it's also a process of regenerating the cells, which includes the endocrine glands. And it's a big focus that all the YouTubers, all you guys working, always know that the glands are a must-do. The glands are a must-do. The kidneys are a must-do. The GI tract is a must-do. That directly impacts the two fluids. Always clean the liver up for a month or so, and the spleen if you want to. That directly impacts the blood. That sort of thing. That reminds me. Hey, Jen?
Yeah.
Would you add lungs 2 to that young man's order?
I sure can.
Thank you, dear.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry about that. It's just, a never-ending thing. Try to keep that outside. When it lets me know that I need to do something, I do that. What do I suggest for the beginning? And can't I take this meanwhile my psychiatric treatment? Absolutely, Victoria. You can do that. You can definitely stay on your meds while you're doing this. It's going to want to detoxify these meds out, but that's okay because at the same time, you're enhancing the function of the glands. So when I have a case like this, the first thing I do is, what would I do on myself? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going after my adrenal glands and kidneys. So I'm going to take, especially in a case like this where you're dealing in a 20-year-old, you know it's highly genetic in terms of gland function or lack thereof, you're going to use the glandulars. I'm sorry, that's what I would be doing. So I'm going to use the adrenal 400s on my case. I'm going to probably use 1-3 times a day. If the blood pressure is real low, I'm going to go up to 2-3 times a day. Same time, I'm going to do a kidney capsule, and I'm going to do a kidney tincture. I start out with kidney number 1 capsule and a kidney number 2 tincture, and then after a month or so, I'm probably going to shift to a kidney number 3 capsule and a kidney number 4 tincture, and then I'll repeat. I'm also going to pee in a jar, and I'm going to look at my urine to make sure I'm getting some filtration going. And I'm going to watch that just for the fun of it, just to see that going on. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my pituitary gland. And I'm going to probably take a pituitary glandular for 1 bottle, let's say, and I'm going to do 1 pill in the morning and 1 pill in the afternoon. I would probably do that. At the same time, I'm going to do a parathyroid glandular, and I'm going to do those, I think I'll do those 1-3 times a day for myself, and then I also think I'm going to take kelp supplements. That's high calcium, high iodine. That's going to bring up that high calcium in the body. It's going to lift me up out of depression and things. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to probably take 1 or 2 capsules of 500 milligram kelps for, 2 or 3 times a day easy. And of course, I'm after my kidneys now. I'm after my glands now. Once that 1 bottle of pituitary is done, I'm probably going to come off of that, watch my parathyroid. I'm probably do 2 bottles of parathyroid. Then I'm going to check my basal temperatures under my arm to make sure my basal temperatures are in the upper 97s or low 98s. I'm going to watch my blood pressure, both arms. I'm going to see where I'm at because I know I need to have my blood pressure up to 120/60 at least. If I'm too high above 70, then my kidneys are going down. And if I'm too low on the top number, I know my adrenal neurotransmitters are down. Because you want 120 or more on the top. The other thing I would do is do a liver gallbladder formula, probably for a month, because I know these chemical medications are breaking down my liver a little bit, so I'm definitely going to take that. Another thing I like is upper circulation and brain and nerve. I like that upper circulation because it moves blood aggressively in the head area, which is the central nervous system, directly impacts the autonomic. So I'm going to bring more oxygenated blood into my brain cells. And at the same time, I'm going to take brain and nerve, probably number 2, because it strengthens the nervous system. And that's another thing that I want to do, is strengthen my nervous system. And so doing all those things together, I would also shift my diet. No animal products except for the glandulars. I would take minimal vegetables and I would go high fruits. Lots of grapes. I love grapes. Lots of grapes. Blueberries, bananas, things like this. A big bowl of fruit, and I would really love on that fruit. At the same time, I'd work on becoming and loving myself, knowing that I'm okay. I would spend time alone and go, you know what, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm here as a vehicle for God. I'm here so the Creator can experience an individuality of itself, so it can create endless amounts or sizes and shapes and colors and forms of itself. And so I'm here and I'm good. I'm a good person. And appreciate yourself for being alive and awake. And being aware and conscious, and learn how to get that mind under control. And don't care about anything for a while. Just live in the moment and play like little children. Rest and play, have fun, become an artist of some sort, enjoy music, things like that. Go to the ocean or some water, which is peaceful in the emotions. Now, one other thing you can do that'll help this out is take flower essences. We have a whole line of them from Running Fox Farms. And she's great. She has all kinds of them. If you ever write to her, she's got a brochure sure, with everyone in the for everything, even out-of-body experiences. With that said, we carry them here too. Moonshine Yarrow. We used it in mental health clinics for years, used it in the Oklahoma bombing. Moonshine Yarrow, I've used it in emergency rooms for trauma. It just relaxes you down emotionally and mentally. So use these flower essences for your moods. Every psychiatrist should be using flower essences and going after the endocrine glands. Bipolar, depression, parathyroid, anxieties, nervousness, the adrenal glands. Come on, guys. Get up there and stop treating with antidepressants and all these psychotropic drugs. Psychotropic drugs? Psychotic drugs. Okay, sweetie, I hope that helps you, Victoria, but that's what I do in my case, sweetie. And you head on and get yourself out of that situation, okay? If you need information or help, just call us. Hello, Robert. This is Daniel. I've noticed that many times you constantly say to move the lymph, especially when it comes to regrowing of the hair and removing of the bumps and rosacea of one's body. Is that correct? That is correct. What exactly does it mean to move the lymph? Well, that's a good question. Pee in a jar. And if you see this thick substance on the bottom after it sits for a half hour or so, but when you initially pee, if you see all this snow all through it, you're moving lymph. Moving lymph is really filtration of lymph through the kidneys. Lymph becomes stagnant when kidneys stop filtering. And stagnation of any lake or pond builds fungus, right? Bacteria, right? And of course, acidosis. And that's exactly what man suffers from. This is constipation of a whole nother level. You know, when you get constipation in the bowels, you don't feel good. Some people get headaches. You know, you're absorbing putrefaction, or if you're a meat eater, or fermentation if you're a carbo. So all these things take place. But we have, as humans on this planet, a huge amount of constipation lymphatically, meaning we're not filtering. Hasn't been considered by many practitioners at all through the time. We are now shedding a big spotlight on the kidneys and skin and the fact that these are the filtering organs for cellular wastes, which are predominantly acids. And this is key, this is vital to your success. And you will see your success proportionate to the amount of filtration you see in your kidneys. Check for yourself. We watch this on everybody, and we watch the success and relationship to the filtration. So moving your lymph is actually turning your adrenals and kidneys back on to where you're filtering, getting all the inflammation out of them and then also out of the body. So moving lymph is starting to see the drainage, the hardness, the stiffness going away. It's starting to get loose. It's starting to get pain-free, more mobility, more flexibility, no more lower back, no more pain and swelling, no more tumors, no more cysts, no more fibroids. All of these things, that's all lymphatics. So a good question, Daniel, and welcome. Brianna, I love listening to you talk about your spiritual journeys. And was wondering, could you tell us about some of them, what you saw and experienced? I want to do this as well, but I don't know where to start. Oh, Brianna, thanks, sweetheart. You know, for the longest time, I didn't know where I was, because basically I was being taken at night. When I laid myself down, I'd be taken. I'd always practiced conscious out-of-body traveling, but didn't know much about movement with that. And then when I hooked up with the Eckmasters, they were taking me consciously out of my body. And I've been into so many places. The Valley of the Golden Pyramids, which is where our pyramid designs come from. I've been to the 1,000-Petal Lotus many, many times and try to take you guys there too. It sits in the top of 3 mountain peaks that runs the astral and physical worlds. I've been to jewel cities. I've been to lectures where it's just hard to describe that the cities that I've been in are just like etheric and jeweled and just radiating with color and vibrancy and the golden lights that come down. I've been into a place that I know that I've put together into the higher realms of consciousness that was feather white with gold trim. And it's just such a, I mean, you can create it outside of creation. You can create your own worlds how you want them. It's important that why you're going through this. Hard for me to describe. Probably some people don't want to know these things. But why you're actually here as an individual spark of this, and what you're learning to do what with. And that's exciting, because then you create your own worlds, and they're able to stay in balance when you learn to keep your worlds in creation that's already created for you in balance. So it's just hard to explain in those ways. Maybe I still want to do a major seminar here in a couple of years in Atlanta. If I can get a bunch of you guys to come, maybe we'll get about 10,000 of us. And we'll have a major seminar where we'll do a lot of talks about, more spirituality and some health with it. And we get, we start turning up the spirituality, because that is the bottom line. Especially for those of you that are in your 60s and 70s and 80s, you got to want to prepare yourself. And you want to be able to go as high and learn as much and become awake as much as you can while here. And then that'll really determine where you go next. So it's really a big issue in that way. For those that are young, traveling, I've traveled a fair amount. And then at one time I asked myself, who's the traveler? And that's when I really stopped traveling as much and got into more consciousness. And there's no traveling, because there's no duality in pure awareness, pure intelligence, pure God. There's no movement, because it's all in the all. There's no place to go, because it's everywhere. It's everything. And that's what consciousness is. There's no definition to it. That's why you can't do anything but just be it. And that's why there's a lack of words to describe that process, except stop thinking, stop desiring. These are ways that you can achieve that nowness of life. Till then, you play with traveling out of the body, and all you got to do is learn to move your attention from one place to another. Just like you would look over here one minute, you would look over here another minute. How much do you look? How intense does that happen? Do you ever look at something so much that you're actually becoming, and then you kind of pull back from it? That was a form of traveling. So when you can let go and you're consciously there and your body's over here, now you're traveling. And you can travel all through creation. There's all levels to travel from, and all worlds within worlds. I mean, it's endless. But the reality is more the self and pure awareness or pure consciousness. Hard to describe that, to be honest with you. But we'll talk more as we go on. I don't want to bore some of you guys with that. Dear Dr. Morris, in one of your videos in response to a question, you mentioned fruitarianism, and it is not sustainable for many people long term. Why is this? Well, I think a couple of things, and this is a good question, Maryanne. I would like to think we can, but then I get a lot of flack from people. But I think that it's such an energetic experience in a world where consciousness, as we just talked about, is low, where we are more unaware of our true selves than we are aware. And an important reason for that, because there's only so much energy that your physical body can handle without auto-incinerating. There's only so much energy that you can take, that even the mind can explode. There's only so much energy that your bodies can handle. And when you're up on this highest energetic nutritional program, fruitarianism, which is the highest level of dietary habits for any species to have, it is vibrationally insane. And I couldn't stay with it. Of course, I was consciously trying to bring in the God force as well, opening up myself in every way that way too. And maybe that's what made the difference. But it's very difficult to be a fruitarian and not be spiritual at the same time, because it quiets the mind. It quiets the emotions. It quiets you. Look at your babies that are raised fruitarian. They're not this, no, they're like observant. They're like watching. And it's like a computer going click, 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 click. It's amazing. So if you have hyperactive children, you move them. You start getting these neurotoxins out, strengthening the adrenals and kidneys and the nervous system. At the same time, move them into these high fruit and berry and melon diets. You'll start to see all this settle down as the nerves become stronger. And it's just, I'm sure it's possible. And there are a few that claim to have achieved it, but difficult for the average person. Because another thing is the mind is so conditioned. If anybody can achieve this, it's the youth. It's you guys that are the younger guys that can change their conditioned mind and stay with this because your health issues are pushing you there. Those would be the one I think that can sustain that. And the more that we keep this information alive and on the wire and out there, hopefully man will start moving, because man has to change his dietary habits. He's at the end of the rope, and there is no ifs, ands, buts about it. Man must, by force if have to, change the way he eats, whether you're in northern climates or not. If we have to build pyramids, instead of all this crap, $600 million this country sold for a computer system that doesn't work, why not build? How many pyramid greenhouses could we build in northern states with $600 million? It's freaky. We have gone over the top in this country. I don't see anything coming but war in this country. I'm telling you, that's all I hear from all the older people. We're going to war. We're going to war. Everywhere I turn, everywhere I go, the guys are always saying, we're going to war, aren't we? The people against its own government. I'm going, what? What's happening to our world here? And it's, again, that battle between good and evil. And you've got to be a strong spiritual person. And this is the problem with academics right now. Be careful as an academically educated person that you develop your spirituality. If not, that can pull you away into the world of ignorance and control from the negative forces. You know, you look at one right now. We have one sitting in the White House right now who thought they have a nice plan for man. It's just that sort of thing, you know, and we just have to be careful. It is because it is not nutritionally unsustainable? No, not at all. That's the highest nutritional foods on the planet. It's ripe. Fruits, berries, and melons. And we will become deficient? Nope, not at all. Not at all. Or is it for a spiritual reason? It's an energetic reason. I think that when you see man walketh on the planet at these higher levels, you're going back and studying the Essenes. You're studying those spiritual groups, the agnostics. You're studying the spiritual groups that walked more raw. When you see that, you see a high spirituality. Whether we can get way up there in this lifetime, for some of us, no. For some of you younger guys, maybe. It would be exciting to see that, because I don't think the human has ever seen the level of strength, power, and consciousness that it can have as a species at these high levels of dietary consumption, because it would fit perfectly with the human anatomy and the human physiology, and we would let the third world countries that have been so suppressed enjoy a renaissance of, we love your fruit, give us your fruit. And then we grow greenhouses, because man has to get out of this killing of dead animals. Or killing animals. Eating of dead animals. Please explain, because I started eating veggies in fear that I would be in trouble if I continued to only eat fruit. Maryanne, heck no, you're not going to get into trouble. That's where all the nutrition is. Look at the difference of how much grass a horse needs to eat. Of course, it's a bigger animal. But how much a horse needs to eat compared to how much a gorilla needs to eat of fruit, or orangutan. How much fruit orangutan eats over that of how much grass a horse needs to eat. Granted the size difference, but I think when you look at nutrition and flavonoids and magnetics, when you look at physics and chemistry, the fruit, the berries, and of course the melons, okay, but the fruits and the berries specifically are the power hogs of nutrition, of magnetics, of those things that are perfect for the human being. And it's just, but it also brings spirituality into people that are not ready for that. There's a lot of souls that are so locked that instability would occur had they had awakening process too quick. So sometimes the wheels of awakening is a little slow for some. That's okay. You never want to judge that, because you can unstabilize a soul who is holding on with crutches to meat eating and other things. So this awareness has to come slow with some, fast with others. Those of you that I see growing fast, you're the enlightened ones. You're the spiritual ones. You're the ones that are taking off the mask and going, whew, I'm here to bring the light of God to this world. And that's what I see in our whole group of all you guys out there. You're being pulled to the light, and that's what's important. Because it's important that you become the light itself, you know, and give to others that way. And then your succor, your life is well assured. Your happiness, your ecstasy of life is well assured and deserved. Life should be full of happiness and joy and ecstasy. When we eat a fruit, we should, you notice, I was talking to this lady before, just a few minutes ago, about the difference between a big ripe bowl of fruit and a big salad. Which one tends to put the smile on the face? Not the big bowl of salad. It's good. But the smile comes when you start eating the fruit and it's ripe and it's good. You're going, oh, nirvana. And that's what it's all about. The medjool date syndrome, as I call it. You know, this is the beauty of that sort of consciousness there. And that occurs when you're eating the fruits and the berries and the melons. This is where all the flavor is. This is where all the power is. You know, if you're going to do a salad, get rid of the lettuces, do the cucumbers, do the veggie fruits, you know, the avocados, the cucumbers. I like to make guacamole and dip cucumbers in it. I love that. Things like that. This is my son is 12 years old and has asthma. He recently had a blood test. Doctor is trying to work out why his allergies hasn't subsided. Why would they subside if you're not cleaning his lymph system? How would your allergies subside if you're not filtering from the kidneys and you didn't fix that? How could his allergies subside? There's nothing this medical doctor can do except suppress your son's lymph system to stop allergy symptoms. And after a while, it'll only explode them. And you have to understand that the asthma is tied to the adrenal glands. So that is also steroids, which also can affect allergies. So your son, you've got 12 years old, you know he's got kidney and adrenal weakness, honey. So you really got to, or this could be a man, I don't know. You've got to go after your son's adrenal glands and kidneys and make sure your son's filtering. Here, honey, pee in this jar. Take a look at your son's urine. You know, make sure he's filtering, because getting the allergies out of your son is getting the lymph system to filter through the kidneys. That requires better adrenal glands, which increases neurotransmitters, which affects his breathing and will make him better breathing. You can also use the lung formula to clean out his lungs, because he's going to have mucus. Get away from any dairy products, anything that smacks of a dairy product for your boy like this. That'd be like a stick of dynamite. That would not be good. And, you know, get him on high fruit diet. He's 12 years old. It'll start maturing his brain and nervous system and really take him off in that way and clean him up there. And the results showed he was low in human growth hormone. Okay, so that's the pituitary. If that's true, you're going to see that in his height factor. If he's having growing pains, that's his parathyroid. You're going to go after that. If he's shorter than he should be, then use the pituitary formula for him, but only use a bottle of that. You don't need much to get that pituitary turned back on, or use the endocrine gland herbal formula and go after your son's pituitary, but go after his adrenal glands as well. I'd be real careful about using blood work in terms of guessing hormones, and you don't want to play around with human growth hormones. That'll only mess up his pituitary even more, and you never want to get into that level of thinking. You want to go after the gland if he's having growth problems, things like that. If he's normal height and everything else, I'd be real cautious about looking at that human growth hormone. I would use the endocrine gland formula. If he was under height in development, then I would use the glandular. But if he was normal height and everything, I would use the endocrine gland formula. That'll turn all of them on. The doctor suggested he undergo treatments of HGH. Exactly, I bet he did. Human growth hormone injections, right. That's another way to shut down the pituitary. These docs are nuts, which I know can't be good for him. Good mom or dad here. I'm suspecting his pituitary. Like, yeah, my God, these guys. You guys are so smart. I love you guys. You guys are really getting this. I'm proud of you guys. Since I'm going to have him watch your response, could you please suggest a recourse for him to get healthy? Young man, you got to start eating lots of fruits. Pretend you're a gorilla and you're eating a lot of fruits, a lot of grapes, a lot of apples. That's where your nutrition is. It'll make you smarter than all the other kids in school. It'll correct that asthma because you want to breathe. And breathing isn't fun, is it? If you can't breathe. So you want to fix that. And that's your adrenal and kidneys. Give your feedback on dairy and animal products. Whoa! Dairy products will put you in the grave, son. It'll make you unhappy. It'll clog up your sinuses. You always have colds and flus and talk like this. It'll clog up your lungs. You'll able to breathe. That's not fun. Fruits will make you happy. It'll make you run better. It'll make you energetic. It'll make you smarter. That's what you want. Matter of fact, I've seen some kids become almost smarter than their teachers. Whoa! We got to watch that, don't we? So be careful. Don't do too much fruit because you could get too smart. You got to be careful. And the type of foods that are backing his system up. Yeah, you want to get rid of all the meats and dairies if you can. Meat only kills the body's adrenals, kidneys, bowels, dead animals. There's nothing good about dead animals. That doesn't taste very good. Only the spices you put on them. You don't want to go over and eat a dead animal, do you? And milk, you drink milk from an animal? Nobody drinks milk after they're a baby. And you're not a baby, you're 12 years old. You want to get the fruit juices and into the grapes and into all the beautiful fruits. Those are good for you. It'll mature your brain up there and it'll make your nervous system strong. So go after that, my young man. And mom and dad, whoever wrote that. And have fun and get your boy here cleaned up so he doesn't suffer even worse, because, son, things don't ever get better. They just keep getting worse if you eat that way. There's no repairing this in a diet like this. And then if your doctor gives you these things, it can really send you into some very serious problems. You want to be smart in everything you do, and it sounds like your parents are smart and trying to help you out there. So always listen to mom and dad as much as possible. Thank you. Now, this is Kina, K-I-N-A, Kina. Before my question, please accept an astral hug. I like those astral hugs. Ooh, I love those. Those are the what do we call the cocoon hugs. Woo! I love that. And a hug, thank you. Well, thank you. One day I fly to Florida and visit. Hey, you're welcome here. Thank you. And here is a all-worldly hug. Here's a soul hug, baby. I have been 95% raw and 99% vegan for a year now. Yeah, you're doing great. I detoxed on oranges last winter and olives at night. Look at that. My detox is slow but efficient. Excellent. I got myself rid of acid reflux and my hormones are a lot better, though still unbalanced. Well, take the endocrine gland formula, or if the female reproductive formula, if you have to. That'll bring the pituitary and ovaries into balance there, and or the endocrine gland formula. That'll help with that. Continue, remember that generally your adrenals and kidneys need attention. Pee in a jar, make sure you're filtering, go through all of that process for yourself. I had arrhythmia, not diagnosed, but you could feel it, I'm sure. Was major during the first months of detox. No kidding. Your herbs helped a lot. Heart and blood, now I rarely feel it. Good deal, honey. Think about your endocrine glands, because you mentioned hormones and steroids. Think about, look at your fingernails, make sure depression isn't in there, make sure your fingernails are nice and strong and wicked. Look at your parathyroid gland in that way. You might want to spend a little time and strengthen that up. That's calcium utilization. You want to get your adrenals, that's where most of that's your steroids, that's estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, aldosterone, that's all these steroids, your cortisols, your mineral utilization steroids, mineral corticosteroids. That's a big deal. So you always want to get your adrenals healthy. The pituitary regulates ovaries, therefore menses. So if your menses is irregular or not on time, heavy bleeding, you really want to fix that. If you're in the process of leaving that world in menopause and you're having hot flashes, those are the endocrine glands. You go after the pituitary, you go after the thyroid and parathyroid, always go after the adrenals, bring yourself into balance that way. I am at a point where I am not sure what to do. I do fruits and juices during the day. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Marcy. You want to say hi? Tell everybody Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday.
And eat raw. That's what I say. And go on a fruit fast afterwards.
That's right. Flush all the bad stuff you did yesterday
and
tomorrow out.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Bye-bye, sweetheart. Have fun. I do fruits and juices during the day and a salad at night. I get the feeling, isn't she sweet? I get the feeling I need to detox mono more. Then do that. I love you guys using your intuitiveness. This is your spirituality. Go, if you don't have a picture of your eyes to go by, then go by your intuitiveness. You want to push this and get deep until you're so healthy and so happy and so joyful that it makes people around you sick. Well, maybe not that much, but still. but I am weak. Well, that's your adrenal glands. Remember, weakness is a lot of times the nervous system, guys, and that's the adrenal glands. Check your blood pressures. If you check both arms, you got adrenal gland on each side of the body and a kidney on each side of the body here. You got one side independent of the other, sharing some common ground. So just remember, you detoxify the whole body, but you want to work on the adrenals if you're feeling weak. My body feels like it's working the nervous system, chest organs, and gut. Absolutely. Clean those out. You always go after bowels. You always go after kidneys. You always go after the endocrine glands. That's a must. Everybody. All the endocrine glands, all the bowels, all the kidneys. That's a must. Those are the organs that run and eliminate. And then you might get into the digestive organs of the pancreas, the liver, gallbladder, clean the spleen, how the blood cleans itself. You can always do those things on the side. So you always want to go the way. Sometimes I get severe pain in the chest area under the breasts. I suspect liver, stomach, spleen, and gallbladder. Well, then that means your lymph system is backed up all the way, and that would be kidneys and adrenals again. So check your urine, make sure you're filtering, and that'll pull the spleen, that'll pull the pancreas, that'll pull the gallbladder and liver clean. All that inflammation, if there is in there, that'll pull that out of there. Also, the liver, gallbladder herbs that will inspire liver function, pancreatic function. You can always use those for a month or two. Work on that side of that. Check your eyes, look at these tissues, but I think you're seeing a good part of what's going on here. It also is intense. It hurts also my back, and I feel like, okay, so, clean yourself. You've been doing good with the diet here. Do a liver gallbladder flush. Get in here, let them send you the liver gallbladder flush. I don't use the magnesium citrates and all that, but do a simple liver gallbladder flush. You might have some gallstones, liver stones in there. Flush that out and see how you do with that. I feel like pucking when it happens, but I don't. It's the kind of pain that glues you in place and leaves you in physical shock for the next day. Oh, wow. Usually it can last an hour. Well, get the antispasmodic. The antispasmodic is for spasms like that. And there's something initiating spasms, either acids or stones. All this is a direct relationship of acids. And so I would do a liver gallbladder flush for sure. But I think maybe I would spend 2 weeks on the liver gallbladder formula first. I'd spend a couple of weeks on, say, a grape fast. And then I would do a liver gallbladder flush. Pop these things out, and that should give you a break from that. Or you've got a colon breaking down or something like that. Get a picture of your eyes and look. Use the stomach and bowel formulas for these sort of things. That's why I love the herbs. They come in where foods don't. And they come in and they roll up their sleeves and they get right to work. And that's what's so amazing about botanicals. We as a human species should be thanking God every day that we have the use of herbs. We have the ability to get them, and we can use them. That we should be thanking you. Not that we're looking at God as external to ourselves, but still have due respect. I get lightheaded often. Okay, so now you're working right up here, which is suggestive to what we talked about the 2 cases earlier, that you're working up the GI tract with lymphatic problems, and it's back up into the cerebellum here. Really got to move lymph. I am constantly cold. Basal temperature seems okay. Well, if you're constantly cold, then I have to tell you, I'd just pop up on that thyroid a little bit. When I go upstairs, I feel pressure in the lower back of my head. Absolutely. And that's why the lightheadedness. And this is the cerebellum. This is all lymphatic pressure. And that's why when you get moving, you see those sort of things sometimes. You really got to do those neurolymphatic points down your back. Get the kidneys filtering. That's the only way you can get remedy from this. And there is a sort of creepy heartbeat in my gut area next to the navel, as if my heart is there. Well, this is all either small bowels or colon. And you want to aggressively always work on your GI tract. And you'll find this, guys, with cases after case after case. The GI tract, the kidneys, the endocrine glands, especially the adrenals. But here's a low thyroid in most cases. So work with those tissues with the herbs, and the diet is always going to be the same. You're always going to work with a high fruit, berry, and melon diet on top of maybe a salad a day. And there's times you want to take them deeper, junk the salad, man, and go on to grape fast or fruit fast or something like that. Generally, I feel good, but I am weak and not sure if I have to do more greens to rebuild. You feel weak, you power up with grapes, and you power up with the energetic foods, the foods that can clean and heal at an accelerated rate. That's what you want to do. You want to load up with the greens. I wouldn't do that unless you did a green drink or two a day, and that would have high parsley, beets. That would really clean the liver, gallbladder, and the kidneys. So you'd have beet bulbs and the greens. You could have some spinach. You know, like I said, spruce it up with a little cucumber and celery. That would be the only green drink I'd recommend. And then power up with the grapes. Those will move stones out of you. That's what you do with kidney stones, with gallstones. You don't do the vegetables. Or should I mono fast for some time? You don't have to mono, but just do fruit bowls or a lot of good fruits. And your melons and your berries, and have fun with those things. And then use the herbs in a focused detox. And focused detox is what I've been talking about all through this. A focused detox will yield you so much more result than if you take an herb here, an herb there. You don't get much done. When you take off and you focus, you can get in and get out. You can get your body healed and cleaned and rebuilt, and then you're done. And then you're good for the rest of your life. You know, and you try to find that balance where you're high raw, and if you have to have some steamed or cooked, okay, but you're high raw. And that's what we all try to do. Generally, I feel good. Let me see here. I should modify. I lost a lot of weight. Yeah, well, she's only 5'4". So right here comes into play two things, and she's only 5 kilos. So meaning she's probably malabsorbed. She's feeling the liver, gallbladder, probably has stones. So now you know she's definitely malabsorbed. It's all the way worked itself back to the cerebellum. So you can put a $1,000 bill that she's malabsorbed. So that's why she's thin. And then she's only 5 foot tall. She's talking about hormone imbalances. So now you know she does have pituitary problems. So you're going to go and work on her pituitary. You're going to help her to move that lymph so she can get absorption. And you're going to work on the liver, gallbladder, pancreas with the formula so she can have digestion. So now you're working on digestion. You're working on absorption. You're getting in the glands so she can utilize her chemistry that she's digesting and absorbing. And then, of course, you're going to go through the doorway of elimination, which is what has blocked all the other factors now. But I still have a lot of fat, toxins, and loose skin. Again, I submit her thyroid's probably down. Her parathyroid's probably down from that. She's not toning. She needs to tone, things like that. So she hit it right on the head. Her glands are down. So pituitary, again, if it was me, I'm going to hit my pituitary with the parathyroid. And then I might just hit the thyroid by itself on another time. I'm going to hit my adrenals constantly. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to work on my kidneys. I hope this is enough info. It is plenty of info, sweetheart. We know exactly what's going on with you and why you're suffering here. But get yourself focused like we've been talking about on these videos, and you will be good. Let's see what this one is. Hi, Doc Morris. I think you are doing a great job by educating people, me definitely included. Thank you. I'm confused about this is something, you know, I'm confused about something or someone. I do not know if you've ever heard of Dr. Rubin Jordan. Yes, I have. Do you know if he is a licensed doctor? That I don't know. But he had very bad colitis as a teenager and looked anorexic. Jordan Rubin claims he got well on organic raw milk, organic cultured raw cheese, and meat with some fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds. Let me stop there. Rubin didn't become vitally healthy on these foods. No one can. If you have ulcerative colitis or you have inflammation in the gut, milk is like Pepto-Bismol. At the same time, it's raw or not, it's extremely mucus forming because no matter what age Rubin is at, after age 2, you lose the enzymes to digest it. Milk proteins for every single human, even baby humans, are mucus forming. We cannot handle the protein and the chemistry in cow's milk arranged in the way it is. We can never handle that, never could handle that. It is always mucus forming. It fills the sinuses. He might be looking okay because he filled out, but he didn't fill out with proper muscle. And I can tell you that he'll wake up one day with colon cancer or something like this. I'll give you guys a challenge. Go ahead and spend a month or two doing wrong, getting yourself cleaned out, and that's cleaned out, and then go on a diet like that. and then you tell me how you're going to feel. I'll show you how you're going to feel. Some of this is just crap, crap, crap. And for anybody to recommend a diet like that, I'm sorry, I'm not saying he is, but anybody that recommends a diet like that, they're insane. They have no understanding of nutrition. They have no understanding of health and vitality. Sorry, it doesn't exist. I tried the raw milk thing. I tried the raw milk yogurts from a fruitarian lifestyle. I opened up health food stores. I thought raw milk's pretty good. Raw milk cheeses, raw milk, whole grains. I did the Dr. Jensen thing. And boy, my health went wham, right back down. All the work I'd done to detoxify myself, here I filled myself back up. And man, that didn't make me real happy. But it was what we thought was out there. That's the thought. So there's no way that you rebuild and regenerate acids with this kind of acid diet. This is an acid diet. This is a high mucus forming diet. You might have covered up your problems, but you didn't cure them. And this is, I disagree with that kind of thinking totally. And all you have to do is experiment on yourself, this kind of radical behavior in a diet. This would be an Alaskan diet where people only live 45 years old. Not good. You said cheese and meat are acid forming in the body, but Jordan's diet consists of these along with milk. No kidding. Jordan looks healthy. He might look healthy, but he's not healthy inside, I guarantee you. You can look so good on the outside and not be so good on the inner side. You can look, I've had beautiful ladies in here that look gorgeous, full of cancer inside. De-skin them and take a look. And that's what you see there. So how is this possible? It isn't in a state of health and wellness. That's all the no-nos of life right there. So I disagree with anything that of ever building health in anyone. No. He's fooling himself, that sort of thing. He'll wake up one day with serious lymphomic problems, I'm telling you. He also eats probiotic crackers, I bet, made with cheeses, organic, anything bacteria to help break down all this milk proteins and stuff, which he makes and sells. Fermentation causes an acid residue in the body, so how could Jordan have healed himself? He hasn't. He is confused, not you. Just realize that, Nick. I wanted to read that. That was one I just happened to look at. I was reading it. I'm going, there's that, that thinking. Nick, don't fall into that. Let that guy go down his own road. Keep watching his story and you'll see. Don't fall into that kind of thinking. Not good. Not good in any way you look at it. Not good. In any way you look at it. Organicsuperman, I haven't talked to you in a long time, my friend. I've always been curious as to why I no longer need my ears syringed every 6 months since juicing. What would be the reason? What process in the body have I cleared up that before was causing the wax to build up? Pleasure always talking with you, young man. You know what? Lymph. This is how we go to Lymphville. This is the whole issue of the lymph system, whether it translates into earwax, goo, I don't care what. This is all the lymph system. You can feel yourself fill up. Like Jordan, I wonder if he can hear. This is this mucus and this lymph. And the more congested you are, the more earwax. You notice? The more pressure, the more ringing in the ears, the less you hear. It's like you got water in the ear, things like that. It's all lymph, not blood. Lymph. So it's lymph, Organicsuperman. Love you guys. You take care of yourselves. Have a fun weekend. You probably get this not till next week anyway. So I hope that you're all doing well. I love you all. I'm trying to do my best to get all this information out to you, but I think you guys are getting the point here after all these videos. But I still want to work, and I hope you like the idea of taking these individual cases and going down them, especially those that seem to be complex on the surface, but really if you start looking at these cases and opening up and drawing filling in the dots, you really begin to see what's really up and why this is such a systemic problem. It's not a local problem. It's not just a liver gallbladder problem. It's not just a heart problem. It's not just a cerebellum problem. I wish you could say that. And there's one thing you could do to rectify that. That would be nirvanic. But we have a much deeper issue that faces the human race. And you guys are the few on the planet that understand that and know that and that are working that. And I am proud of every one of you. Hang in there. Not everything's always perfect on the road to Wellville, but you have a whole group of people from the Facebook people all around the world. You have a lot of you guys that are becoming healers that are working it, you understanding the process, learning the herbs and working with them. That's just a matter of time guys. Like taking on anything else, you know, you learn it. You guys are all smart, aware. You guys are the spiritual ones. So I'm real blessed, and thank you for letting me into your lives and sharing with you guys. I love you all, and have a good night.